This conference will now be recorded.
So in the last class, we have discussed about servlets and we have seen how to read HTML form data into servlet. So in order to read HTML form data into servlet, we make use of the method request.getParameter method, right? By using request.getParameter, we can read form data into servlet. Now, today we'll be going with a big application, login application. But before we go to this login application, let us understand two small topics, that is servlet config interface and servlet context interface. Servlet config and servlet context. The use of servlet config interface is, this interface is used to read initial parameters from web.xml file into a particular servlet. So from web.xml file also we can send some data. And to read that initial parameters from web.xml file to a particular servlet, we make use of servlet config interface. And servlet context interface is like, this interface is used to read context parameters from web.xml file into all servlets of web application. So any servlet can read this context parameter. Context is like global. They are like global parameters. Let us understand more on this using the example codes. Servlet config demo. Create like a servlet and we pass initial parameters from web.xml file. Open Eclipse. We have created a web project. So to create a servlet, right click on web project and say new servlet. I'm going with the class name servlet config demo. Servlet config demo. Say finish. Now import the respective packages. So override to get method. What is our first step here in the method? Connect to the browser. How to connect to browser? Print writer out equal to response dot get writer. Now, so whenever we create a servlet, your web.xml file will get updated. So where is web.xml file located? Under src main web app, you can see web.inf. In that you can see web.xml file. So in this you can see servlet configs here, servlet config demo. Now to this servlet config demo, we want to pass some data. We want to pass some parameters. How to send is, in between the servlet tag, where you see servlet config demo class, there we have to pass initial parameter like this. Init param, param name, we'll say some username, param value, some admin. Like that you can pass even one more, init param, param name, password, param value, root. So to this servlet config demo, we are passing two initial parameters. Like that, how many we want to pass, you can pass. Now I want to read these initial parameters in our servlet. So to read that, we go for servlet config. We use what interface? Servlet config. servlet config equal to get servlet config. If you remember, this get servlet config is a method present in servlet interface. And since generic servlet implements servlet interface, okay, so this method is implemented by which class? Generic servlet. Since HTTP servlet is a subclass of generic servlet, I can call this method directly. So this method is implemented by generic servlet class. And since HTTP servlet is a subclass of generic servlet class, we can call this method directly. Now using this config, we can read initial parameters like this. String username equal to config.getInit parameter of username. String password equal to config.getInit parameter of password. Display these values. Out.println username, the value of username. Out.println password, the value of password. Right now, run this servlet. You can directly click on this run button. It starts the Tomcat server, opens the browser, and displays the username is admin, password is root. So whenever you want to read initial parameters from web.xml file, we make use of servlet config. Coming to the next one, servlet context. So let us go create a servlet context, demo.java, create like a servlet, and we pass context parameters from web.xml file. So create a servlet, right click on project and say new, servlet context demo. This servlet context demo, I want to pass some initial context parameter. How to create context parameter is in between web app tag. In between web app tag, we have to create context param like this. Context param name, I'll say some gold rate, param value, some 70,000. So in between web app tag, we have to create this context param so that this parameter can be read by any servlet. Any servlet can take this value. It's like global. Now, coming to the servlet context demo, import the related packages. Override do get method. First step, connect to the browser, print writer, out equal to response dot get writer, and create reference of servlet context. Servlet context equal to call the method get servlet context. Same explanation. Get servlet context is a method of servlet interface, and since generic servlet implements servlet interface, this method is implemented by generic servlet class. And since HTTP servlet is a subclass of generic servlet class, we can call the method directly. Now take the value of gold rate. How to take context dot get init parameter, same method, get init parameter of what is the parameter name? Gold rate. Display this value, the value of gold rate. Right? Now see, when we run, we'll ask you to restart server. Any changes to servlet or web.xml file, we'll ask you to restart server and say it's showing the gold rate as 70,000. So config is like local, context is like global. Right? Any questions up to here? No. Let us move to the major topic of today's class, that is login application. login application. Okay, so what we are going to do in this login application, let us understand using a diagram. Login application. So when you go with the login application, what we are going to accept from user, username and password, right? That is the first page, what it gets displayed to us. So let us go with a welcome page. The first page, what we display to the user, we call it as welcome page. So let me go with the name, login.jsp. I'm using JSP instead of HTML. I'm going with JSP. So tomorrow I'll be starting off with JSP. So don't worry what is JSP today. I'll be just writing only HTML code in that. But why I'm going with JSP also I'll be elaborating. In this login.jsp, it's a welcome page where we accept the username, password, and one login button. Here we'll say new user register. New user register. So we are creating one hyperlink. If it is new user, we go with register. Here we go with the text fields to accept the username and password and one login button. Right? Now, so let us initially go with register. So when you click on this register hyperlink, we'll connect to a JSP file. We'll connect to a JSP file, register.jsp. Register.jsp. Now, in this register.jsp, don't worry too much on JSP now. So it's a simple HTML code only we'll be writing inside. In this register.jsp, we'll be accepting the name of the user, username, password, retype password, and a button register. And a button register. Here we go with the text fields for name, username, password, retype password, and register button. Now let us suppose we are filling some data like the name, username. We are going with the name like Ramu, username Ramu123, password Ramu123, and confirm password again Ramu123. Now, once we click on register, what we need to do? We need to take this data, we need to read this data and insert this data into a database table. So here what we require to store our details permanently, we require the database. So here we go with a database table. Here we go with a database table. Let me go with the name of the table as users table. Users, the name of the table is users. So where we store our details permanently in the database. Where we go with the name, username and password. The table goes with 3 fields, 3 columns, name, username and password. Now, what are the data we have entered here in this register.html or JSP? This data I should take it into the table. Can HTML do this task? By using HTML, can we connect to databases? No, right? HTML is only for presentation. So there should be some server-side programming which can read your form data and connect to database. So this is the place where we go with servlets. And since servlets are Java programs, using Java program, using JDBC, we can connect to the database. So here, when you click on this register, we'll connect to a servlet. We'll connect to a servlet, register servlet, register servlet. What this register servlet is going to do, it's going to read this form data, connects to the table and inserts the record into the table. So the name what you have entered, username and password. What operation you are doing here? This is your write operation. Write means which command we have to use? Insert command. We make use of insert command. Once we insert the record into the table, the data into the table, the response what we want to give back onto the browser is, the response what we want to display back onto the browser is registered successfully. Registered successfully. Then we create one hyperlink. Click here to login. So when you click on this hyperlink here, we'll connect back to your login page. We'll redirect to login page, where again it is going to ask your username and password. So this case is registered site. So we are creating a new user. Clear up to here the workflow of register? Right? Now let us go with login. So here in login.jsp, we type the username and password. In our case, the username is Ramu123 and password also Ramu123. When you click on login, we'll connect to a servlet here. Again, we have to go to users table and check whether that user is present or not. So for that, we go with a servlet, login servlet. And what login servlet is going to do? It's going to connect to the table and reads the data from the table. So read operation. Read operation means select command. Use select command. Now in this case, if the user is successful, means if the user is present in the table, that we call success scenario. That we call it as what? Success scenario. If it is success, then we want to display the response. We want to go with the response like welcome. For this username Ramu123, what is the name of the user? Ramu. So we want to say welcome Ramu. Based on the username, we want to pull out the name and display. Then we create one hyperlink. Click here to login. So when you click on this hyperlink here again, we'll connect back to your login.jsp file. Then, if it is failure means if the user is not authenticated, if you go with wrong passwords like that, if it is failure scenario, we want to go with the message login failure, and we'll say click here to login. Again, when you click on this hyperlink, we'll connect back to login.jsp page, welcome page, right? So this is the application what we want to develop today. Clear with the application, all of you? Right? Very, very important, and you need to practice on your systems compulsory. Now, let us go with the application. The first step, let us go with the backend work. That is, let us create the table first. Create a table users in MySQL. So open MySQL prompt and go with the command create table users. Here we go with the name of the user, varchar of 10, username and password. Let us do this step first. Open MySQL, insert, go with the MySQL command line client. So in our case, the password is root. Use Java 05. This is our database name, Java 05. Right? Here, create the table. Create table users with username, varchar of 10, password. Initially, we go with name, varchar of 10, then username varchar of 10, password varchar of 10. Right? The table is created. Now the next step, let us go with the welcome page. The first page what we display to the user, that is welcome page. Create a welcome page, login.jsp in web project. How to create JSP file is, just we have to right click on project and say new, and in the list you can see JSP file. Instead of HTML, I am going with JSP. I even elaborate why I am going with JSP. So login.jsp. Design the form. Here we go with the body. Design a form. Form action equal to web project / login servlet. Since we are accepting passwords, method equal to post. When we say method as post, the data will not go along with URL. So mainly when you are having passwords, we say method as post because we don't want to make passwords to be visible in client URL. Now, accept the username, input type equal to text, name equal to username, password, input type equal to password, name equal to password, and one login button, input type equal to submit, value equal to login. So when you click on this login, it connects to login servlet. It will go to what? Login servlet. Then say new user, create one hyperlink, ahref equal to register.jsp, register. So when you click on this hyperlink register, it will connect to register.jsp. I am creating a hyperlink here. Now understand carefully. So I want to validate this form now. Before, when I click on login, before it connects to login servlet, I want to validate the user input. Like the username should not be empty, password should not be empty. If the fields are empty, I don't want to connect to the servlet. Then how to do validation is by using JavaScript. By using what? JavaScript. So in script, I should read this form data to check whether they are empty. So to read form data, I should go with what? Name of the form. I'm giving the name of the form. Okay. Once we click on login, I want to connect to JavaScript to check whether the data is valid or not. To connect to that, what we have to use? We have to use here on submit. On submit equal to return validate one. return validate one. So we are invoking a function here. On submit means when you click on login, first we have to go to validate one. Then if the data is valid, then only I should connect to servlet. So the validation will happen on the client machine only, means browser end only. Now, how to write the script code? Using script. In this, create a function validate one. We are creating a function validate one. Here we go with the variables like let x1 equal to document.f1.username.value. So document.f1 means your form, username, this text field, dot value means what are the value we have entered in this text field, I'm reading and storing into x1 variable. Similarly, let x2 equal to document.f1.password.value. We are reading password also. Now check whether they are empty or null. How to check? If x1 equal to null or spaces, or if it is going with space, then we'll say alert, a dialog message alert, username should not be empty. Username should not be empty, and we'll say return false. When you return false, that false will go here. So if it is returning false, then I won't connect to servlet. It won't connect to servlet. Similar way, check here. If x2 equal to null or space, and we'll say alert, password should not be empty. Password should not be empty, return false. If are not returning false, if both conditions are false here, we'll say return true finally. If you are not returning false, what we are going to return true. So if I return true, then it is going to connect to servlet. If I return false, it won't connect to servlet here. So in order to use this return keyword, we are using JSP here. So HTML does not support return keyword. That's the reason we are using JSP. Right? So this only we call client-side validations. Clear all of you? Any questions? No. Now let us go with register. When you click on register, it will connect to register.jsp. So next step, create a JSP file, register.jsp in web project. Register.jsp. Right click on web project and say new JSP file, register.jsp. Design the form action equal to web project / register servlet. Register servlet, and we'll say method as post, as we are going to accept passwords. Now here what we need to accept: name, input type equal to text, name equal to name, username, input type equal to text, name equal to username, password, input type equal to text, name equal to input type equal to password, name equal to password, retype password, input type equal to password, name equal to repassword, and one submit button. Input type equal to submit, value equal to register. So when you click on this register button, it connects to register servlet. So before it connects to register servlet, I want to validate this input. So to validate, we'll go with the name of the form. I'm giving F2, then on submit. On submit means when you click on submit button. On submit, we want to call the function return validate to. Now write the script code. Create a function validate to. Then here read the form data. Let x1 equal to document dot f2 dot name dot value. We are reading this name dot value. Similar way, read the other values. x2 equal to document dot f2 dot username dot value. x3 is password dot value. x4 is retype password dot value. Repassword dot value. We are just reading the form data into the script here. Now check whether they are spaces. If x1 equal to null or x1 is space, then we'll go with the alert message. Name should not be empty. Return false. Similar way, check for other data. x2 means username. Username should not be empty. x3 password. Password should not be empty. Then last one, x3 not equal to x4 means password and retype password. Password and retype password should be same. So we go with a message. Password and retype password. Retype password should match. Should match. Then if you are not returning false, finally once we come out, we return true. So only when you return true, it will connect to your servlet. So similar to previous code only. Right? Now, once you click on register, it connects to register servlet. Now, let us go with the major code register servlet. Create a servlet, register servlet in web project. Register servlet.java. We have to create like a servlet. So to create servlet, right click on project and say new servlet. I'm going with the class name register servlet. Finish. Now understand carefully. Here we go with the import statements. So can anyone say the lifecycle methods of servlet? What are the lifecycle methods of servlet? Init, service, and destroy, right? Yesterday discussion. What are the lifecycle methods of servlet? Init, service, and destroy. And here we are going to do database connection. So we go with the import java.sql package for jdbc code. Go with a connection object so that this connection we can use in all the methods of servlet class. So here we are overriding doGet method, and in doPost we are invoking doGet method. Now go with the lifecycle methods. What they are? Public void init, which takes servlet config as an argument. Which takes what? Servlet config as argument. So this init method is invoked when the servlet class is loaded, and it is only one time. Only one time it's going to load. So instead of service, what we are using here? Do get and do post. So for every request, it's going to invoke do get method. Then override destroy method. So when we close the browser, it enters into destroy method where we do the closing operation. So in init method, we do database connection so that one connection can be used in multiple requests in do get method. Then in destroy, we do the closing operation. There. Now how to get the database connection over here? So here we can even create database connections in web.xml file. So what you do? You go to web.xml file and you can do the database connections. So we can even refer this web.xml file here. Wherever we have created register servlet, to this register servlet, I want to pass database connection properties. How to pass here? In between servlet tag, wherever you see register servlet, how to pass initial parameters? Init param, param name, driver. What is a driver class here? Param value. So in order to connect to MySQL, what is the argument? Com dot MySQL dot cj dot jdbc dot driver. So we discussed run this in JDBC topic. Then init param, param name, URL, param value. What is the URL? JDBC colon MySQL colon / localhost colon 3306 / Java 05 our database name. One more init param, param name, username. What is the username to connect to MySQL? Root. In my case, it is root. One more init param name, password, param value. What is the password to connect to MySQL database? In my case, root. So these four, driver, URL, username and password, these are our database connection properties. So where I am creating in web.xml file in order to send to register servlet. Now come to register servlet. Here in init method we do database connection. So load the properties, string driver equal to, by using config, using get init parameter method, we can take the value of driver. Just now we discussed, no? When you say config.getInit parameter of driver goes to web.xml file, takes this driver value. Similar way, read the other values. String URL equal to config.getInit parameter of URL. String username equal to config.getInit parameter of username. String password equal to config.getInit parameter of password. So we have read the database connection properties from web.xml file. Now do the database connection. So to do try and catch block. So how to load the driver class.forName driver. Establish the connection con equal to driver manager dot get connection, pass your URL, username and password. That's it. So this will get the connection to us. Pass our URL, username and password. Right? Init method is mainly for what? To do the database connection. The advantage of sending database connection properties from web.xml file is, the advantage is, here we are connecting to MySQL. In future, if I change the database to Oracle, then I need not touch this code at all. I need not touch this code, just to go to web.xml file and change the database connection properties values here. Just to change the database connection property values. So I need not touch this Java code at all to when the database connection, when the database has been changed. Okay. So however, in future, when we come to frameworks like Hibernate Spring, we will be learning much more better way of doing database connections. Okay. Clear? Any questions up to here? Simple JDBC code I'm writing. Then destroy, do the closing operation. On dot close. In destroy, we do the closing operation. Now we need to handle the request in doGet method. So first step, connect to the browser from where we got request. Print writer not equal to response.getWriter. Then say response.set content type text/html. Now read the form data. String name equal to request.get parameter of name. String username equal to request.get parameter of username. String password equal to request.get parameter of password. So we have to state the form data, name, username, and password. Now what I should do? What this register servlet should do? Your register servlet should take your data, form data, and insert into table. And after inserting into table, we want to display response registered successfully and hyperlink to connect to welcome page. So for this, with try and catch block and say prepared statement st equal to con.prepare statement. What command we have to use to register? Insert into the table name users values. What values I should pass? Name. How to replace Java variable I said? Double quote plus single quote double quote plus the name plus double quote single quote. I want to pass this name. How to pass this name variable? What is the syntax? Single quote. Why single quote? Varchar. Single quote double quote plus the variable name plus double quote single quote, comma. Similar way, single quote double quote plus username plus double quote single quote, comma, single quote double quote plus password plus double quote single quote. That's it. We are just inserting these three values into which table? Users table. Then now execute this command st.execute update, and after executing update, the record will get inserted. Then go with the response to the user registered successfully. Registered successfully, and create one hyperlink. Click here. Web project / login.jsp. Here to login. I'm just creating one hyperlink here. When you click on this hyperlink, it will connect to login.jsp file. So this is a hyperlink we are creating. Right? That's it. That completes our register servlet. Coming to the next one, create a servlet, login servlet in web project. Login servlet. Let us go with the next step, login servlet. Right click on project and say new servlet, login servlet. Import the related packages. as we are going to make use of JDBC import event SQL package. Override do get method and do post method. In do post, invoke do get method. Go with the connection. Override the init method. We need to override destroy method. Lifecycle methods. In init method, we do database connection. So directly also we can do database connection here. So go with directly try and catch block, load the driver class, start for name, com.mysql.cj.jdbc.driver, establish the connection con equal to driver manager.get connection, jdbc colon, mysql colon / localhost colon 3306 / java 05, our database name, username is root, password is root. So directly also we can do database connection in init method. Right? In destroy, do the closing operation. In do get method, handle the request. So connect to browser, print writer out equal to response dot get writer, response dot set content type / HTML. Now read the form data. So what we should read? Username, request dot get parameter of username, password, request dot get parameter of password. Now what we should do? We should check whether this user is present in your table or not. So in this login servlet, we have to connect to user table and check whether that user is present. If it is present, we have to say welcome and the name of that user and hyperlink to connect to login page. Failure means login failure. So let us do this step. So check here. Prepared statement is equal to con.prepare statement. What command? Select. Select star from table name users where username equal to your username. How to replace Java variable? I said single quote, double quote. Replace username plus double quote, single quote. Where username equal to your username, password equal to your password. Single quote, double quote plus password plus double quote, single quote. That's it. Now execute your query. How to execute? Result set rs equal to st.execute query. Now if there is a record in your table, if the successful scenario, if there is a record in your table, then what will be the value of rs.next will be? Value of rs.next will be what? True. If there is a record, the value of rs.next will be true. Means if it is true means successful. So if it is successful, what I should take? The name of that user. How to take the name? rs.get string of name. I'm reading the name value. So once it is successful, I'm coming to this column and taking the value of that name for that particular user. Then once we read the name, that name is present in this variable, go with the message welcome and the value of name. And the value of name. Then create a hyperlink to connect to the login page again, welcome page again. Create a hyperlink to connect to the welcome page. Else means if the user is not successful. If it is failure scenario, then we'll go with the message login failure. Login failure, and we create a hyperlink to connect to your welcome page again. This is success scenario, this is failure scenario. Right? So that completes our login servlet. Compulsory you have to recap it and practice it on your systems. Just we are writing JDBC codes over here. Just JDBC codes. There. Now the next step, final step, run the application login.jsp. Run the application login.jsp. Go to login.jsp, run this file. Then it's showing the login page. So let us go with the register. Click here to register. So without filling any data, if I click on register, it's saying, see, name should not be empty. This only we call validation. If I go with the name, and if I'm not typing username, see, username should not be empty. This only we call validations. Okay. Let us fill the data now. Ramu123. Password Ramu123. I'm going with correct data. Then retype password Ramu123. Click on register. So it's going with exception. It is going with what? See, an exception. Class not found exception. It is unable to identify this class. com.mysql.cj.jdbc.driver. It's unable to identify. So if you remember in JDBC, I discussed about this exception. So how to remove this exception? I said we have downloaded one jar file. We have downloaded one jar file and we copied into our folder. In our Java programs folder, we have downloaded this jar file, MySQL connector Java 8 version. Then in JDBC, what we have done, after downloading this jar file, we added to the build path. In case of web applications, just we have to copy this jar file, and we have to paste it into web.inf lib folder. Right click on lib and paste here. Into this lib folder, we have to paste. Okay, no build path. Why we have to copy into lib folder? Because the application will be running on server side. The application will be running on server, and server will look for jar files in web.inf lib folder. Now run the application again. Now go to register. Let us fill the data. Ramu123, Ramu123, Ramu123. Now see register. We are getting, see the message registered successfully. Check your table also. Go to MySQL and say select star from users. See, a record has been inserted. Similar way, you can go with click here to login. Again, I want to go with register. Let us register one more user. Raj123, Raj123. Retype password Raj123. So when I say register, registered successfully. Check your table. You can see one more user. Here one more user has been created. Like that, how many users you want to add, you can add here. Now click here to login. If you click here, it will go back to login page. Now let us go with the user. I'll say something like Ramu123. I'll give wrong password ABCD. I'm giving password as ABCD. Now when I say login, it's saying syntax error. And password equal to single quote double quote plus password. Okay, this and word I miss it. Let us run again. So now I'm going with Ramu123, password ABCD, wrong password. Now see when I say login, it's saying say login failure because that user password is not correct. So we are getting login failures. So when I click here to login, now let me go with correct data. Ramu123, Ramu123. So for Ramu123, what is the name of that user? Ramu. So it should display what result? When you click on login, welcome Ramu. If I go with Raj123, for Raj123 user, what is the name? Raj. So it should display, when I click on login, it should display Raj here. Okay. So this is the complete application. Please practice this. So what setting we require here? Setting for login application. Not only login, whenever we are using any third-party jar files in web applications, copy the jar file. Copy MySQL connector Java 8.0.30 file into web.inf lib folder. So this setting we need to do in order to connect to MySQL database. Right? So please practice this compulsory. Any questions, anyone? Right. So tomorrow we will be starting off with a new topic, very important one, JSP. So tomorrow we go with JSP. Right. Thank you all.